Shadow Priests have undergone some big changes in Legion. This video is going to go over some of those changes and what you can expect Shadow to play like. Shadow Orbs have been removed and in their place is the new resource, Insanity. Despite this new resource, most of your spells remain the same but generate Insanity on cast. Right now, Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch do not give any Insanity, but Blizzard has said in a future patch they will generate Insanity on cast. Unlike other resources, you don't really spend Insanity. Once you hit 100 Insanity, you can go into Void form, which gives you a damage boost, reduces the cooldown of Mind Blast, and gives you a stacking haste buff. Your Insanity drains faster the longer that you're in Void form. After leaving Void form, you keep the haste bonus until you enter Void form again. Being in Void form only gives you one new spell, Void Bolt. Void Bolt is an instant cast that grants Insanity, and in a future patch it will refresh Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch to their max duration. Talents have also changed quite a bit. In this video I will mostly go over the ones that have changed the most. Twist of Fate has been moved to be a level 15 talent. Fortress of the Mind makes your Mind Blast, Mind Flay, and Mind Spike deal 10% more damage and generate 20% more Insanity. And Shadow Word Void is a new spell that is a 1.5 second cast with 3 charges, and it generates 20 Insanity. Mania gives you a movement speed bonus based on your Insanity, and Masochism makes your Shadow Word Mend, a new healing spell for Shadow Priests, deal no damage. Mind Bomb replaces Psychic Scream, and it is an AoE stun on your target. Psychic Voice reduces the cooldown of your Psychic Scream by 30 seconds, and Dominant Mind lets you control your character while Dominate Mind is active, and Dominate Mind lasts longer. Void Lord makes the haste buff from your last Void form carry on into your next Void form for 10 seconds. Reaper of Souls lets you Shadow Word Death on targets that are 35% or lower, and it always generates Insanity even if the target is not killed. And Void Ray makes your Mind Flay damage give you a stacking Mind Flay damage buff. San Lan increases the damage of your Vampiric Touch by 20% and the healing of your Vampiric Embrace by 20%. Auspicious Spirits now makes your Shadowy Apparitions give you Insanity, and Shadowy Insight gives your Shadow Word Pain ticks a chance to reset the cooldown on Mind Blast. Power Infusion now also increases your Insanity generation. Mindbender attacks grant Insanity, and Shadow Crash is a targeted AoE that generates 15 Insanity. Legacy of the Void makes your Mind Blast give you a buff that increases the damage of your next Shadow Word spell by 50%, which stacks 2 times. The damage buff from Legacy of the Void is snapshot into Shadow Word Pain, and even refreshing it with Void Bolt keeps the damage buff. Mind Spike is now a talent and replaces Mind Flay, and no longer removes your dots. Mind Spike applies a stacking debuff to the target that makes them take more damage from the next Mind Blast. And Surrender to Madness is a 10-minute cooldown that makes all of your spells generate 200% more Insanity, and once you exit Void form you automatically die. I must warn you, the fantasy here is extremely strong. I'm asking you, please, only take Surrender to Madness if you are prepared for that. The spell that the artifact weapon gives you is Void Torrent. It is a 1-minute cooldown and a 4-second channel. You can only use this in Void form, and while it is channeling, your Insanity no longer drains. Sphere of Insanity is one of the cooler passives from the artifact. This makes it so that 15 seconds after you enter Void form, all of your direct damage spells also deal some damage to targets with Shadow Word Pain on them. A lot of the Shadow Priest traits seem to be a little more fun than most of the other classes. The rotation outside of Void form feels very familiar. You want to keep your dots up and keep Mind Blast on cooldown, and then use Mind Flay as your filler. Once you enter Void form, the rotation becomes very hectic. Even though you don't have to worry about keeping your dots up because of Void Bolt, your Mind Blast and Void Bolt's cooldowns are very short, and Haste also reduces their cooldown, which makes them come up even quicker the longer that you're in there. Late in your Void form, you almost never cast Mind Flay, and it might even be detrimental because of how quick Mind Blast and Void Bolt come up. I don't know any of the math, but I could see it being better to wait half a second for Mind Blast or Void Bolt rather than try and fit a Mind Flay tick in between their cooldown. I hope this isn't the case because I don't think rotations should have points where it is better to stand there and do nothing, even for a fraction of a second. I really like the changes that have been made to Shadow Priests. I do not play one as my main, so I didn't have any attachment to the old spec, but I feel Blizzard has done a good job of keeping a similar feel while also giving the spec a unique flavor. I was worried about Shadow Priests having to sit on Void form for long periods of time to save it for damage checks, but you enter Void form pretty often and the haste buff helps smooth out the downtime. Let me know what you think of the new Shadow Priests in Legion, and thank you for watching!